After the legendary return of Midas, it is worth remembering why he is so awaited by almost all Fortniters, and what he did to make such an imprint on the memory of the whole community. That's why I've compiled a sort of dossier describing the entire history of our favorite. So if you are intrigued by me, don't forget the code of the creator of FillyFishy, and sit back. Today I will tell you why there was such a fuss about Midas's return, where he disappeared all these 4 years, what role he played in the story, and in general, the history of Midas in Fortnite. Hi everyone, I'm Philly. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a like, and here we go. For some reason, many people mistakenly think that Midas first appeared only in the spy season, but that's fundamentally flawed. We got the first hints of the character with the golden touch towards the end of the first season of the second chapter. At that time, all the community's attention was focused on a small mansion in the very center of the map. For a week, items here mysteriously turned into gold, and all the details pointed to a character who hadn't even appeared in the game yet, Oro. The files with this golden skeleton appeared long before the second season of the second chapter, and it was he who became the most suspected of turning all the items into gold. Moreover, it was also hinted at by the gilded print that appeared in every teaser. But we were wrong, and all those inexplicable situations in the mansion were the work of Midas. That it was not Oro, but Midas was indicated by the folder with the ghost logo on the golden toilet. Although, we thought at the time that it was not the ghost at all, but Ego, the organization we had been watching throughout the first season of the second chapter. Together with the Altair organization, they're going to make a mess of things. So we should remember about these guys too. Meanwhile, the man who could turn everything into gold was recruiting agents for his team. He even had to put his phone numbers in our real world to do it. And so, with the release of the long-awaited second season, we finally found out who was behind the gold movement. As it turned out, a mysterious genius arrived on the island who bought almost half of the locations and built there his bases: grotto, shark, oil rig, and yacht. And on the place of the mansion, where objects turned into gold, a huge building appeared. The agency. The best spies from all over the world gathered there. As it turned out, the arriving billionaire turned out to be an undercover agent who had taken an alias, Midas. The Alter and Ego organizations, as I said above, turned into shadows and ghosts, making a real war. Later, we would learn that this was a brilliant piece of theater played out by Midas. Alter and Ego acted as informants who gathered information about the island. It was through their work that Midas was able to find out where 0 Point was located. And believe me, the agency was not built on this very spot for nothing. While we were cheering for our favorite organization, Midas, like a real evil genius, was working on his plan. And near the end of the season, we realized that after the final event in Season 10, when 7 successfully blew up the 0 Point, it remained alive and well. And most importantly, it's deep underneath the agency. Already for this, Midas can be considered the most brilliant character in the history of all of Fortnite. Not only did he manage to fool us, but he also successfully fooled Imagined Order, the most dangerous organization in the universe. In fact, it was Imagined Order that created the battle royal that is endlessly restarted throughout the island. If it's just another match for us, then for every character we choose to play, it's a time loop, at the end of which all memory is erased. Later, when the imposter mode came out, we were able to find out exactly what the IOs were doing on the island. The Order's algorithms controlled loot drops from airdrops, storm circles, and more, including the driver of the battle bus. Also, we can say that they were the ones controlling the item store as well. After all, from the comics, we learned that it was the Order that pulled beings from different universes into the loop. Like what happened with Batman, for example. But most importantly, the Imagined Order could control the loop. Those who are with us more recently probably haven't even heard of such a concept. But the plot of almost 3 chapters was based on this phenomenon. In super simple words, the loop is a storm that gradually covers the island, and every 22 minutes, when the very last looper who took the so-called first place is left alive, a zeroing occurs. The map is restored, loot is replenished, and loopers lose their memory. although now this lore is not so relevant. In the second season of the third chapter, when Seven finally defeated the Order, the loop was sort of destroyed and the island was freed from the power of Sloane and Gino. But at the time Midas was devising his plan, it was defeating the loop that was his main goal, and if that happened, everyone on the island could regain their memories and the endless cycle of the battle royal would be broken. And so, with a civil war between Shadow and Ghost on the island, Midas, along with his daughter Jules, developed a doomsday device that would break the loop once and for all. As we would later learn, the Order also had a dossier, but the Order was so distracted by the Shadow and Ghost squabble that it lost sight of Midas. After all, there was a tremendous amount going on the island during the second season. The oil rig, which had just appeared a couple weeks later, was destroyed by the Shadow's takeover, as was the grotto, on which a giant skull later appeared. Midas's yacht was taken over by Deadpool, and I'm not even talking about the war between teddy bears and dwarves, like if you remember. Anyway, there was plenty of movement on the island at the time, and for that reason, Imagined Order missed what Midas was actually cooking up. During the final weeks of Season 2, we watched as the Doomsday device was gradually activated, and more interesting details appeared in Midas's room. For example, a strange book appeared from which we could learn more about the purpose of the aggregate. In fact, it was his blueprint, or the mystical costume. It seems that with the help of this armor, it was possible to survive the effects of the storm, and given that Midas was actually in the very epicenter of events, without such protection was impossible to do without. And finally, at the final event of the season, having completely destroyed the agency, the Doomsday device broke loop. Midas's plan was about to come to fruition, but something went wrong. The unit went out of control, and to save the loop, the Order decided to flood the island. It was like, it's okay, we can get revenge. Especially since Midas managed to do a lot of damage to the Order's security system, but here he met his fatal enemy, Shark, which effectively ended this character's story arc. Then, Midas made an appearance during the 2020's Fortnite. It was hard to call this combo a storyline, it was more of an alternate version of Midas himself, who turned into death after his death and returned to the island to seek revenge. And it would seem that a dot could be placed on that, or even a multi-dot. In any case, the next time we'll hear from Midas won't be until 2023, and that wasn't a super spy cameo that nudged Imagined Order, but a cameo of his golden hand being ripped off by Kato Thorn. Though I and the entire community thought he would come back again and show everyone how to make history. And now, that's exactly what happened. But why do I think this is his last appearance in Fortnite? If you read the official Epic post dedicated to Midas's return, you'll notice the following line. In Battle Royale's Rise of Midas, help Midas flee the island. And it seems that Epic's new creative director, Charlie Wen, realized that it would be quite difficult to integrate Midas into the new storyline. But leaving that character's arc open-ended is also pretty silly, especially considering the community's love for the Golden King. That's why, apparently, it was decided to organize a themed event where we will find out what happened to Midas for the last 4 years. But unfortunately, kings don't rule forever, and so the likes of Midas retire. But on the other hand, it can be even better, because we will no longer have to guess whether he will come back or not. That's why we can only give him a huge F to pay respect. If you like this character, and it does not matter when, even in the distant 12th season or now, support this video with a like or even a repost. Because now, not everyone knows that in addition to Jonesy, there are other interesting characters in Fortnite. But with the legendary Zlatarokum character, we seem to have come to say goodbye.